In the heart of the Eternal City, amidst the grandeur of marble temples and the roar of the Colosseum, a different kind of battle was waged. Not with swords and shields, but with whispers in shadowy corridors, with bags of gold changing hands under the cloak of night, and with daggers of betrayal aimed at the very heart of the Republic. This is the story of Rome, not as a glorious empire, but as a cesspool of ambition, a playground for the corrupt, where the scales of justice were tipped by the weight of coin. Welcome to the dark side of the toga, where power was the ultimate currency and morality was a luxury few could afford. We will journey back in time, walking the cobblestone streets where ordinary citizens feared the whims of the powerful. We will stand in the shadow of the Senate House not to praise noble statesmen, but to expose the architects of avarice who plundered the state and its people for personal gain. Our story begins long before the Caesars, in the late Republic, a time of unprecedented turmoil and opportunity. The Republic was ailing, its institutions creaking under the weight of its own success. Vast territories brought unimaginable wealth, but this wealth flowed not to the people, but into the coffers of a select few. One of the earliest masters of this dark art was Marcus Licinius Crassus. Known as the richest man in Rome, his fortune was not inherited, but amassed through ruthless, predatory means. Imagine this. Rome, a city of wooden tenements, is a tinderbox. When fires inevitably break out, consuming entire neighborhoods, who appears through the smoke? Crassus, with his privately owned fire brigade. But they wouldn't throw a single bucket of water until the desperate, terrified property owner agreed to sell their burning home to Crassus for a pittance. He literally profited from the ashes of his fellow citizens. His wealth bought him influence, armies, and a seat at the table with Pompey and Caesar in the First Triumvirate, a pact that effectively signed the Republic's death warrant. Crassus demonstrated a chilling truth. In Rome, enough money could not only buy you a mansion, it could buy you the state itself. But Crassus was just the beginning. As the Republic crumbled, a new breed of politician emerged, even more audacious, even more shameless. Enter Gaius Verus. As governor of the wealthy province of Sicily, Verus saw his position not as a duty, but as a 3-year license to steal. He was a kleptocrat of epic proportions. His methods were a masterclass in corruption. He would accuse wealthy Sicilians of fabricated crimes, forcing them to bribe him for their freedom. He plundered temples, stripping priceless statues of Apollo and Ceres from their sacred pedestals, shipping them back to his private collection in Rome. He manipulated grain supplies, the lifeblood of the Roman people, creating artificial shortages to enrich himself while others starved. His reign of terror was so absolute that the great orator Cicero was called upon to prosecute him. Cicero's speeches against Verus paint a vivid picture of a province bled dry, of a people living in constant fear, their faith in Roman justice shattered. Verus's trial became a spectacle, a moment where Rome was forced to confront the monster it had created. Though he ultimately fled into exile before a verdict was reached, his name became synonymous with provincial misrule and unchecked greed. He showed that the far-flung territories of the empire were not provinces to be governed, but treasures to be looted. The rot, however, went all the way to the top. As the Republic gave way to the empire, the power once dispersed among senators became concentrated in the hands of one man, the emperor. And with absolute power came the potential for absolute corruption. The Julio-Claudian dynasty, for all its fame, was a gallery of deeply flawed and often depraved rulers. Consider Caligula. His reign began with promise, but quickly descended into a fever dream of megalomania and paranoia. He blurred the lines between God and man, demanding to be worshipped. He engaged in extravagant projects that drained the treasury, including building a 2-mile floating bridge across the Bay of Naples just so he could ride his horse across it. Stories, perhaps exaggerated but telling, claim he appointed his favorite horse, Incitatus, as a consul. While likely a symbolic insult to the Senate, it revealed his utter contempt for Roman tradition and governance. He used treason trials as a fundraising tool, executing wealthy senators and seizing their estates. For Caligula, the Roman Empire was not a state to be administered, but his personal plaything, and its people were merely actors in his deranged theater. His short, brutal reign was a terrifying demonstration of what happens when a corrupt mind wields unlimited power. Then came Nero, the artist emperor whose name is forever linked with the Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. While the image of him fiddling while the city burned is likely a myth, his response was a masterstroke of corrupt opportunism. In the ashes of the destroyed city, he didn't just rebuild. He seized vast tracts of land to construct his own lavish palace, the Domus Aurea, the Golden House. It was a sprawling complex of villas, gardens, and an artificial lake, a monument to his own ego built on the ruins of people's homes. And who did he blame for the fire? A new, misunderstood religious sect, the Christians. By making them scapegoats, he deflected public anger and initiated the first state-sponsored persecution, a cynical and cruel act of political manipulation. Nero's reign taught a dark lesson. A crisis, even one of immense human suffering, could be the perfect cover for self-enrichment and the violent suppression of dissent. From the fire sales of Crassus to the art theft of Verus, from the madness of Caligula to the grandiose ego of Nero, the story of Rome's most corrupt is a chilling reminder. It shows how easily institutions can be hollowed out from within, how the pursuit of personal wealth and power can eclipse any sense of public duty. The magnificent aqueducts, the enduring roads, the legions that conquered the known world, they were all built by a system that was simultaneously being eaten alive by the very men entrusted to lead it. The fall of Rome was not a single event, but a long, slow decay. And while barbarian armies at the gates get the credit, the seeds of its destruction were sown centuries earlier, in the tainted hearts of its own politicians. Their legacy is a timeless warning that echoes through the corridors of power even today. That no republic, no empire, is too great to fall when its leaders forget who they serve. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the shadows of the Roman eagle. If you want to uncover more hidden histories, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.